Wellbeing business owners. So, thank you everyone for staying on to the end of the day. Last session of the day. We decided to do this. We did a women's panel last year. Last year, I keep saying that. It was March. It feels like last year. And it was really lovely just talking about specific challenges for women. And obviously, we're like, 99% women again here today. But this time we thought, we see a lot of business owners struggling with health and well-being and trying to find that balance of, running your business, as you can see now, running your business as well as maintaining your own health. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us are one-man bands. And if we aren't well, it has a direct impact on our business, doesn't it? So making sure that we are staying nice and healthy is really, really important. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have a panel here. Let me turn this way. I'm going to ask them all to introduce themselves so you don't just listen to me waffling on. But it's an absolute pleasure to have a real mixed bunch here. We've got all angles hopefully covered. Let's just go through, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself, tell us a bit about what you do, your business, and yeah.
Hello everyone, my name's Dan. I am an osteopath, I'm a father of 4 young children, and I'm founder of Vital Health in Tiptree, where we specialise in helping people over 50 stay mobile, active, and live in active lives.
I'm Katie. I help people build a brilliant, positive, and life-changing relationship with food. I'm a mother of 5, and I run Good Evans Kitchen, which is a mindful nutrition cookery school, teaching through the seasons, and that's me.
I'm Alev, Dr. Onan, otherwise. I am partner and co-founder of Chelmsford Private GPs, along with 2 other colleagues, and we have our own private clinic in Phoenix Hospital in Great Barrow, and we're all mothers of young children, and now business owners, so to understand the struggles and challenges.
Testing. I'm Sarah. I'm the founder of Moontree Yoga and Wellbeing, also co-founder of the R&R Club. We help busy women find community and relax through yoga, so pregnancy, postnatal, any stage of life, retreats, etc. Just helping them chill out, basically.
Amazing, thank you all so much. So I've got a few questions I'm going to put to these people, that sounds a bit harsh, these wonderful people. But if anyone has questions at any point, if you want to ask, just pop your hand up and I'll try and grab my attention, and we can just put those questions out there. So let's start off. Dan, I feel like there needs to be that countdown noise. So how would you define wellness, and why is it particularly important for business owners? Kind of touched on it, but you can elaborate.
Yeah, I pondered this question actually. I thought it was quite a difficult thing to define, but the closest I could get to it was a commitment to the practices and habits that leave you feeling good about yourself and your life. It's not some kind of thing that you ever achieve, I don't think, or it's not going to be wrapped up in a magic supplement blend. It is those daily practices and habits that leave you feeling good. And in terms of business owners, you alluded to it. The question I ask business owners is, if you had a machine in your house that would pump out £60,000 a year for you, providing you looked after it well, how well would you look after that machine? And then the penny normally drops that the greatest assets in all of our businesses are ourselves. If you're a sole trader or a business owner, you're probably the greatest asset, and you maybe don't look after your health until some of us don't until it's too late. So it's vital.
I think that's so true. Vital, boom. And you're absolutely right, because I think often you feel selfish, don't you, when you're doing stuff for yourself, but putting it like that, like a machine that's going to give you that money, yes, oil it, everything, whatever you need to do. Yeah, absolutely, thank you. Dr. Alev, or Dr. Onan, whatever you want to be called, what do you see in your area of work as the most common challenges that business owners face?
So probably as expected, it's really sort of burnout, physical and mental exhaustion, and now that we are business owners, we do understand the challenges that they can face. So really it's, it's tiredness, it's raised blood pressure, putting on weight, abnormal bloods with, pre-diabetes, cholesterol. So those kind of problems are what can manifest from not looking after yourselves. So I do lifestyle medicine, and if I can just explain a little bit about that. So it's a new specialty that really looks at common sense approaches and how to prevent and also reverse some diseases with lifestyle changes alone. So not everything needs medication. And there's 6 pillars, and I'll just go through each and how having your own business can affect each. So first of all, sleep. So as business owners, we tend to work a lot long hours, sort of up early to just catch up on things. So we're sort of reducing the duration, also the quality of our sleep, which can have an impact. And then also being time poor, so things like looking after yourself, physical activity, that's pushed to the background, and not having, that little time to do things that you used to enjoy and getting your heart rate up. And again, that can have a knock-on effect to health. Then it's healthy diet, again, rushing around, grabbing, ready-made meals, or maybe not eating as well as we could do, again, having an impact. The fourth, and probably what you wouldn't expect, is, or that we advocate in lifestyle medicine, is healthy relationships. So being with people who make you feel really good, surrounding yourself with people that boost you up, doing things that you really enjoy. So if there was something that you used to enjoy and you don't have time for it now, then you can be considered. Minimizing harmful substances. Sometimes when we're stressed, when we just want to unwind, there's things that are habits that we have, like reaching for a glass of wine or whatever to try and relax. Can add up, and it can cause medical problems later on. And finally, not looking after our mental well-being, not switching off the brain or letting the brain get quiet, so constant scrolling or watching social media. So these can all have an impact on stress and overwhelm.
I think we could do a whole talk on all of those, couldn't we? Probably. Yeah, thank you. It's a real holistic view as well, isn't it, of looking at all the different areas. I can feel my brain going, yeah. Katie, I've seen a lot of work that you're doing, a lot of references to mindful nutrition. Can you elaborate on this concept for us and share how it can be specifically beneficial to business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. So mindful nutrition is about being present in what you do, how you eat, why you eat, and when you eat, and the connection between the ground to the plate. So much of what you do, because of you suggesting that we're all time poor, actually we all have exactly the same amount of time in every day across the entire world. And I think it's about how we use it, how we choose to use it, and what our boundaries and values look like. I've talked to lots of women today about that, and a huge part of it is knowing your why. Why are we eating? Are we just nourishing ourselves? Are we just filling a hunger that we have? Are we eating because the clock says it's lunchtime or it's breakfast time? How are we connecting with our values and our boundaries and our relationships towards food? Are we eating to celebrate? Are we eating to nourish ourselves or to enjoy the process of food? Are we like the French eating 3 hours a day over at lunch? And I think having that connection with our relationship with food and knowing our why is one of the biggest assets we can have. And building that relationship, whether you're in a business or whether you're at home or at work, the relationship we have with food is having that mindful intentions around it. And it can really support you with reducing stress, with reducing all the diseases that we've been talking about that can easily creep in by not looking after ourselves. The best thing you can do for your business, for your home life, is to look after yourself first.
Love that. I'm just sitting here thinking my why for going and grabbing Haribo in the middle of working. What that might be. It's so important, so important. All of this is just, from a business owner's perspective, vital, isn't it, for us to get that 60k. I want your machine, by the way, to get that 60k business. Sarah, I know from experience that balancing physical movement versus work activities is a constant juggle. How important is this to business owners, and what tips could you give to incorporate this into a busy schedule?
So, I think you're right. It absolutely is a constant juggle. And if anybody has nailed it, if you could just let me know, that would be amazing. My absolute top tip is treat it like a business meeting. So it's just as important. You are all your own business, and you have to, as every single person here has said, your wellness is so important. And by not taking care of yourself, it's not always easy to drive in the car and go to the gym, or, you know, it only has to be a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be anything. For me, sometimes I just sit on my mat and move my arms around a bit, you know, just getting that headspace, I think sometimes is the most important thing, rather than the physical activity. If it starts to feel like a burden, you're just not going to want to do it. But I think if you treat it like the most important business meeting you're ever going to have. I've literally said no to clients because I've got stuff in my diary where I need to take care of myself. If I don't take care of myself, I go downhill incredibly quickly.
And that's really hard to do, isn't it? It takes a lot of discipline.
It is really hard.
And that's coming back to focusing on, well, what will that give you? And if that gives you your health and well-being to do better business in the future, then
Absolutely.
you can give more to your clients. And
it's like a tangible benefit, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, for me, I think if I don't do that, I will get to burnout. That's just a fact. I think we all will. I was saying to somebody at lunch, there's no one to stop you when you're a small business owner. So you can just keep going and going and going, but you have to stop you. You have to stop and give yourself time.
Thank you. Dan, you are a successful business owner. I mean, everyone here is a successful business owner, but how do you personally maintain a healthy work-life balance, especially with 4 kids?
I think firstly, I've got 2 young ladies in my team here. I think delegation, if you can, take on, I'm sure is there a VA in the room? Here we go. Set it up. Delegation of tasks, so that you can concentrate on the highest value task for you in your business. Me personally, I've kind of accepted that there has to be an integration of life and business when you, particularly if the business is running with you not there and you're at home. I just have to accept that there could be a phone call or whatever. I've kind of simplified my life, and at the moment it's family or business. There's not much room for anything else. I think young children actually help in terms of keeping you present in the moment. They will demand your presence. So that's one of the long list of reasons why I'm just keep having more children.
I was going to say, the youngest is how old?
8 days.
There we are. Congratulations, by the way. Continue, sorry.
I think that's it, to be honest. But also having, as we talked about there, being really protective over your time, even if that's a small amount of time every day. I particularly like the morning, so for me, my morning is sacred. I'll do some kind of movement or body work in that first hour of the day.
I just personally share my struggles. My struggle is I love the mornings, but I'm really productive. So do I go for the healthy, well-being option, or do I go for the doing work option? That's my challenge all the time. Yeah, I don't expect an answer for that one. Where am I? Dr. Elif. As owners of what I can imagine is a busy practice, what are some coping mechanisms you use during particularly stressful periods?
Well, essentially, because I've been doing lifestyle medicine, I've adopted changes to reflect each pillar. So things that really benefited me. So first of all, trying to prioritise my sleep. So giving myself 7 to 9 hours of sleep opportunity a night. So that's the opportunity to get that, not trying to get it, because sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Dan doesn't get that.
Or whatever, it doesn't. But the opportunity. So getting off my phone about an hour before I'm going to bed, making sure there's a sort of routine. So my body's expecting me to get tired. So it's making the house dark, dimming the lights, and just giving those signals to the brain. So that's the first thing. Trying to reduce caffeine. I don't know if you know, it's got it can last up to 7 to 8 hours in the blood. I'm very caffeine sensitive, so I would be up all if I had any caffeine. So just exactly. So just try and prioritise your sleep. So that's the first thing that's really helped. Next was physical activity. So it doesn't need to be, going to the gym or going for a run, but just movement. And so in my NHS practice, because we still all work in the NHS as well, I did an audit of how much physical activity everyone got during their working day. And it was something like less than 1% of the time away from our chairs, which, I imagine we can all relate to when we're working and doing that extra admin. We spend a lot of time sitting down, and it's really bad for our health. So I introduced lunchtime walks with everyone, and it's just 7 minutes round this block, but we just get out and we feel so much better when we come in. So it's also, as I said, just doing any kind of movement, so gardening or a bit of yoga. I play football, so I do that twice a week, just anything that you enjoy. Next, it's sort of minimising things like, as I said, substances that can be harmful. So I don't really drink that much anymore. Can't handle hangovers with young children. And also, as we get older, go through perimenopause, menopause, we don't process alcohol as well as we used to. So just be aware of that. It does linger in the body a lot longer, and we get more of the side effects of it. Relationships, I just make sure, that I try and make time to go and see friends and family. I try and combine a bit of physical activity, so I'll phone up a friend and say, do you want to go for a walk and talk? And we'll go around this nature reserve for half an hour chatting. I've got one friend who shares, we do wild swimming, so some Fridays we'll call, like, let's do it. And we've got everything in the car ready to go. We'll go and we'll swim in the river, and it's amazing. And so we're combining two things at once. And diet, as I said, just being very mindful of what I do eat as well. And then mental well-being, what I've found and what we all do is the three of us, when we first set up the business, we were on our little WhatsApp group all hours of the night just saying, what about this? And we could do that. But we stopped it now, and because we're tired, we're like quite overwhelmed. And so no more text, we put real boundaries, and this is what I really sort of advocate. We don't text late at night. We try and avoid texting anything about the business during the weekend, so we can really try and switch off. And it's really, really important to do that and have boundaries. So they're my tips.
I'm exhausted for your life already. No, they're really good tips. I think the combination of things is great because, like you said, Katie, we've got so many hours, and you've got to choose, haven't you? And when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So if you can combine things so you don't have to say no to something, then that's a win-win.
My movement have definitely been, every time I hear the word mum, I do a squat.
Oh, I saw a reel about that the other day.
A friend of mine did one. I was like, that's a great idea. I've been doing it for like 2 weeks now. I'm like, working. Definitely.
That's the best top tip of the day, I think. Amazing. So, Katie, come back to you. We know how important food, and more particularly fuel, is for business owners. Keep us going. But often we are limited on time, and skipping meals isn't uncommon, is it? So what would be your top strategy for maintaining a well-balanced diet?
Lots of little things, I think, collectively. I know people really struggle with time, or actually just the process of cooking and fueling yourself can be really overwhelming. We often choose our job, or we choose the kids, or we choose our schedule way before we choose ourselves. Oh, it doesn't matter if we skip a meal. And maybe it doesn't, and maybe that intermittent fasting is okay for a short time, but actually that repetitive consistency of skipping meals is going to lead to burnout, is going to lead to lots of problems. So one is always start with hydration, whatever the situation, tiredness, stressed, hungry, whatever your situation is, always hydration first. If you can pick a time in the week where you can batch cook, is great. Often, lots of my clients choose Sundays. They don't work for me, but a lot of clients do find Sundays really positive. So having a time where they can etch out to cook in batches, they can think about meal planning, they can think about what food's in season, what they like, they can organise their shopping to come for the next week. Having a day that works for your time or your schedule can be really supportive in those mindful intentions and decisions, and helps you take control over the kindness of over yourself, to be able to eat well and to put yourself first, because it's really essential that we actually do put ourselves first. Batch cooking, as I said, thinking about, I teach lots of what's in season. You're eating foods at its highest nutritional value. So you're eating, at the moment we've got loads of courgettes in season. There's loads of nutrients in it, and it's just really supporting. Having a grab and go bag, snacks on the go, nuts, seeds, yogurts, things on the go, always with you, and always choosing protein and fibre, protein, fat and fibre really, over everything else, to make sure that you're highly satiated when you do grab that food, and that you're choosing the right things to support your health, and actually being your future friend. If you're choosing to skip meals and it's not an intermittent fasting, you're just not putting yourself first. You're just not actually choosing your nutrition or mindful intentions going first. it's thinking about being your future friend and who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up in my business as? How do I make that happen? And as we've just been talking, movement is a huge part of that. Me doing my squats every time I hear the word mum. But actually, if you don't fuel yourself right, you have nothing to give to those clients and customers. You have nothing to sell. You're drained, you're tired, you're cranky. And you don't want to show up as this time-poor, cranky version of yourself. You want to put yourself forward. You want to be your best. And to feel your best and be your best, you have to feel right.
Absolutely, I think everyone can echo that, right? I had something in my head that I was going to ask you, but it's gone, so we'll move on. It'll come back in a second. Sarah, how can yoga, obviously this is your world, how can that help with challenges such as overwhelm, burning...
Can't help with
Should we just start this again? How can yoga help with challenges such as feelings of overwhelm, burnout, or wanting to improve mental resilience?
So this is a very easy question for me. It's something... So there's a common misconception out there in the world, and I'm sure lots of people have it, is that yoga is for the super skinny, super flexible, super bendy, fitness-crazed people, and as you can tell, it's not. So I think it's actually, the movement of yoga is only one of 8 limbs of yoga. The other 7 are about mindfulness, meditation, being compassionate, community, all these kind of things. And I think understanding those principles and it's about nurturing, loving and accepting yourself before you do anything else. And to me, that theory I worked in the corporate world for 30 years, properly hit burnout and just thought there's got to be something better than this, and found yoga, and there is. And I think breath work, to me, that's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, right? Everyone's talking about breath work, but there's so much we can't control in our life, but we can always, always control our breath, always. So it's just you don't have to have any fancy techniques or go to a yoga class or anything, just closing your eyes, focusing on the rhythm of the breath, just what it does in the body, going in, going out. That in itself is so powerful, and something very small like that, I could actually talk about this forever, but I'm not going to, but something very, very small like that can just dissolve stress instantly. Just taking a moment, I guess. I hope
We
that
often
answers the
ignore
question.
our breathing. You don't even know you're breathing sometimes, do you? And then you pay attention and you realise you're breathing quite fast, and actually you just need to slow down for a second.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Is there any other questions before I continue? Does anyone have anything they're sitting on, burning desires? No? Okay. Dan, let's come back to you. What are some practical tips for creating a workspace that supports mental and physical health?
I've thought about this if you spend a lot of time at a desk, I think the biggest investment you want to make is in a chair, a good supportive chair. And then I would probably look to maybe a sit-to-stand desk. I think they're great, spending some time stood up during the day. Though quite often I've seen them, lots of office clear-outs and things, they're selling those second-hand. I'd also look into a treadmill. So if you do a lot of calls in the day, I think you could get a treadmill going underneath your desk, and put your headphones on, and while doing calls you could be walking on a treadmill and combining, as we've spoke about today, 2 things at once, getting your steps in and movement of the body whilst doing that call. It's great for the brain as well, you'll be increasing blood flow to the brain whilst moving, so you'll probably come up with better ideas. We often do that as a team. We'll do our one-to-ones as a walk-in one-to-one. And then the next thought, which I need some work on, my team looking here, is like decluttering the desk and keeping tidy in your workspace, which that's a work on for me. But we've got a new office coming, so I'm going to endeavour to keep it clear.
But it's all work in progress. Like, this is the thing. There's no end solution of us all saying we are now healthy business owners, tick. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. But I appreciate that you're being honest, and you're going to get called out. That's what I say. Yeah. But no, that's it. It's always continuous improvement, which I love. Dr. Aleph, business owners are often not ones to complain, but we just plough on with our mission. How important is it to seek professional help, and is there any resources that you would recommend?
So first of all, yes, really important if you feel something's not right. So you know you, and if something's just, something's different or something's changed, then it's really, really important to go and see your local GP. So GPs are great, we're specialists in every single system in the body, so we're generalists, and we will do a history and sort of find out, about the symptom. Is there anything else and anything that we need to investigate, or is it lifestyle change, etc. But it's really important not to ignore things, because prevention is better than cure, and so if any issues can be picked up earlier, it's better, because we need to keep ourselves well for our business. And what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
Good question. Resources. Anything you'd recommend?
Well, just if so this might be slightly left wing, but for monitoring your own health. So during COVID, things massively changed for GPs. We weren't seeing patients, face to face as much unless we had to. So, and what really, really helped us was people were taking sort of more control over their health and monitoring their health. So people having blood pressure machines at home and doing their own weight, etc. And just, things that we could say, how's your blood pressure been? Oh, it's been going up. Okay, and finding out those. So just, if you can sort of do some monitoring at home of things, or of elderly relatives or anyone else, then that's really useful. Resources, so your local GP surgery. At our private GP surgery, we can see everyone or from any age, and we do well-person medicals, and sometimes they're really, really useful in picking up things that you didn't know that you had. So, and there's lots of different providers of sort of medicals, but however, it's just an interpretation of the results, etc. So just be aware of that. There's lots of good NHS resources. NHS is fantastic, and lots of good advice on the website that you can look at.
I love that you're private, but you're still getting the NHS.
I love the
in
NHS.
It's great.
NHS is brilliant.
But what I love about your lifestyle approach, though, is that I think often people go to the GP and just think they're going to get medication. So sometimes that's why they don't go to the GP.
Yes.
So to know that you're going to look at maybe a bigger picture and see what other changes we can make.
Exactly. So you can be in control of your own health, and at the moment, the way medicine's gone is that it's quite reactive, and people saying, "How can you make me better?" And we should be saying, "Well, this is what you can do to make your own health better and take control of things." So.
Love it. Okay, Katie, let's go back to food. How do you stay motivated to eat a healthy diet and not the Haribos, and not get takeaways and quick fix snack food?
That's easy. Know your why. Your why is your biggest asset, and it always will be. Knowing your why empowers you to make mindful intention decisions that you have control over. If you want to feel your best, and you want to turn up as your best, and you want to deliver your best, you have to put the right stuff in. There is, if you don't want to feel rubbish, and you don't want your hormones to be all over the place, and you don't want your blood sugar to spike, and you want to have a good relationship with food that serves you, you need to be your future friend and make those decisions. But you can't make them on your own. You can't make them because, you have to get everything out of the cupboard. That's it. No crisps, no sweet. There's no junk in my house anymore. I'm getting it all out. It's going to be a new fresh start. Let's stock the fridge up. I guarantee you everything will be mouldy, and you'll have had five takeaways that week. It doesn't work. You need to take very small baby steps that are consistent, one step at a time, one small change at a time, and just be consistent in it and know your why. It is really your biggest asset, and it's your personal why, not because you want to feed your children, not because it's 12 o'clock and it says lunchtime, not because of any, you need to know it personally.
It's interesting because I think what you're saying there actually applies to every single thing we do as business owners, isn't it? Small changes consistently and knowing your why. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Sarah, how important is having a community, or we talked a lot about community today, or a support system, and how do you build one as a busy entrepreneur?
So like you say, we have talked about that a lot today, and I wholeheartedly agree with all of it. It's everything. Community, we're stronger together, right? And something, as I mentioned, I worked in the corporate world, and I found that very dog-eat-dog, actually. Even though you're surrounded by potentially thousands of other people, it can be quite isolating. But what I found is that idea of your competition. So my competition, if you like, is one of my closest allies, because we are in it for the exact same reasons. We have the exact same clientele. We refer each other to each other all the time. And it's without that community, you just flounder. And I touched on before that there's no one to stop us, you know. Having someone in your corner, like, you've got this, you can do this, you know, whatever it is that you need in that particular moment in time. And likewise, having somebody to say you're doing too much, actually, slow down. Other business owners get that. They understand that. My husband is constantly saying to me, oh, it's 5 o'clock, log off. I'm like, it doesn't work like that, you know. But it's other business owners get that. And I think, for instance, I do a lot of work in the perinatal area. So for me, the other perinatal experts are my go-tos. Likewise, I'm theirs. So I think it was Laura that mentioned earlier. I literally fell in love with her, by the way. I need to connect with her. She was amazing. But I think she mentioned something about, it's about how you can help. And for me, I think that's what it is. Like, my network don't necessarily want to come to a yoga class, but actually I hold space for a hell of a lot of pregnant people throughout the year, you know, and I can direct them to them. And it's, as a result, they recommend me. It's just, I'm waffling again. I waffle when I'm passionate, but it's really important. I think it's really, really important to establish that. And on the end, you say, how do you find it? In this world of social media, that's easy, right? Reach out. Just
Had lots of tips on that today, actually.
we have, and you know, just don't be afraid to. Do you want to meet for a coffee? It doesn't have to be a formal, let's get on a Zoom, you know. Should we meet for a coffee? Let's have a chat.
I definitely had a mindset shift, the process of coming out corporate, where everyone is competition.
Yeah.
Siobhan isn't here. She's the great example. They've got a whole photographers group. And they meet up regularly. They do goal setting together. They help each other all the time, and they're constantly on WhatsApp. And I think that's a great example of how you can be with your competition, and they then do refer to each other all the time, because sometimes the client's just not quite right for you, or you're too busy. But rather than just going back and saying, nope, sorry, I can't help you, it's no, but I really value this person, and so I would recommend them. What they do is amazing. So I think if anyone wants to learn more about that, or wants to set their own super connector, whatever group up, definitely speak to Siobhan about that. Any questions? How are we doing on time? We've got literally a few minutes. Let me do one quick question for all of you. One question that you can all answer, which you may not have prepared for, to catch you off guard. Can you share, do you have, I won't ask all of you to answer, but if you have, put them forward, a personal story where focusing on your wellness has significantly impacted your business?
I can answer that one. I had a big health scare. I had hip surgery a couple of years ago, and I need 2 new hips on the back of eating lots of steroids to keep me alive. It has given me osteoporosis and lots of other little niggles, and that has been a journey. It's really hard to talk about your relationship with your body and your relationship with food when you're hurting and you're in pain and you have to press pause. But actually, it's all about delayed gratification, learning how to re-love the body I've been given, having lots of children. It's serving me really well. Knowing that actually I'm still an expert in my field, I can still help people build an amazing, long-lasting relationship with food that serves them and their lifestyle. And actually, it's an ongoing process that has really impacted my business time, because I've had to press pause to recover from a surgery or to get well. But I've also had to mentally adjust. I've had to learn how to love this body again that looks and behaves slightly differently. I move slightly differently as a result. Can't lift as much weight as I used to be able to. I'm not as good at boxing as I used to be able to. I can't run anymore, but I can walk. I can still do yoga. I can still swim. I can still ride a bike. So there's a mental shift that's had to happen. There's a physical shift that's had to happen, and that's affected my business financially, physically, practically, and I've had to learn mindfully and intentionally how to move forward in that. And I think it's been really good for me to press pause. It's been really good for me to reevaluate what delayed gratification really looks like, for me personally and what that looks like in my business. So I can, one of the business values I have is to be authentically myself and to bring myself into my business. So I totally understand what it's like to have bumps in the road and that relationship with food to really change through the seasons that we have in life that throws at us motherhood, menopause, all these different things that we all go through. But I'm there, like #MeToo, 100%.
Amazing, thank you for sharing that with us. I don't know if anyone's noticed, all these guys are so calm and chilled. I'm feeling really zen right now. If there's is there any more questions, or any questions I should say? No. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much to everybody. Please give them a round of applause. That is us nearly done for the day. You've got literally 15 minutes to go and speak to whoever it was that you wanted to speak to today, if you haven't ticked that off already. And hopefully we shall see you all again at the next one.